candidates were very happy with you guys.
You were fair and professional, and especially after that last catastrophe, that was really, I think you did a great job.
I thought it was a terrific debate. I will say kudos to Fox Business and to the Wall Street Journal.
You did a fantastic job. All the moderators did.
Fox Business shattering its network ratings record, 13.5 million total viewers for the Republican presidential debate on Tuesday night. The GOP and media outlets praising the moderators for their fair questions and smart coverage. Also, people from the Democratic side of the aisle as well. And the debate was hailed for keeping the issues at center and in the front. Back with me, Gina Loudon and Steve Moore. Gina, what did you think that was the best part of the Fox Business debate? What did you enjoy?
I think it was the focus on the issues. I mean, when you have the entire nation saying what we care about is the economy, stupid, Fox Business rising up, making it about the economy, making it about the issues, it's no surprise to me that statistically speaking, in terms of distribution, Fox News killed it. They won.
Here's the thing,
and Fox Business, rather.
Right. Here's the thing, Steve. You know, watching the debates and listening to it, a tax plan is not a unifying vision. You have to do more to basically electrify the voters who are really skeptical of the GOP. When you have the Democrats, you know, doing 24/7 government, when you have an activist Federal Reserve, when you have Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders saying, we're going to give you a lot of freebies, boy, it's really tough to get, because when people go into the voting booth, Steve, they say to themselves, what will the government do for me?
I hope that's not what they say, Liz. I mean, if it does, we're done as a country, because if everybody's just laying out, you know, what freebies they can get, you know, we're going to go bankrupt even faster than we are.
Not just the freebies. The idea is, how will this candidate, how will he mesh with what I need?
Well, you know, look, I think Reagan said it best, you know, 35 years ago when he said, you know, the problem isn't, the government isn't the solution, government is the problem. You know, what I loved about this debate, Liz, I was there, as you know, is that I like the fact that Neil and Maria let the candidates mix it up a little bit. You know, I mean, I thought that was the most interesting part of the debate. They didn't intervene. You know, what was so awful about the CNBC debate was that the moderators felt like they were the show rather than the candidates. In this debate, they asked the questions, they let them mix it up, and that's what made it so entertaining. And it also exposed I think, some important fault lines within the party, like we were talking about immigration. There are these issues like immigration and trade where there's a lot of conflict, and that came out.
I'll tell you something. It's really it's so interesting what is going on right now, because when you look at the Democrat platforms going back to, and Steve Moore knows this, going back to 1960, the Democrats are about small government. They're about economic growth. They're about 5% growth. They're about tax cuts. You know, Kennedy wanted all that. But, you know, I have to say this again. We are in a different world right now where 60%, according to the CBO, I'll be quick about this, the Congressional Budget Office, nonpartisan, says 60% of U.S. households now get more in the form of benefits than they pay into the system in taxes. That's a tough thing to go up against.
Yeah, and I think what you have here is a bunch of people looking, what you said, I think you nailed it when you said people go to the ballot box looking for who's going to do something for me. But I think the who's going to do something for me has turned a little bit, thanks at least in part to Donald Trump's sort of mantra and good marketing of saying, hey, you know, when the government gets out of the way, people can work and earn money, and you can be like me. And I think that people having that vision of, oh, that's what happens when government gets out of the way. I can be rich like Trump, or at least have more of a piece of the pie.
So you're saying make America great again is the sell. So he's selling.
I think it is. I think it's the sell, and I think it's the make the individual great again rather than how much free stuff can government give you. I think people have realized it didn't work. Obama promised that, and we've had 8 years of that, not that, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And if, Steve, we're going to give you the final word here. I mean, we've been through a period of where people feel like they're aggrieved. And, you know, Condoleezza Rice, former Secretary of State, said it right. You know, the twin brother of grievances is feeling entitled, and you feel like you're owed a job. You don't have to go out and find a job and work for a job.
Yeah, you know, it's disturbing to see what's happening on these college campuses where these 20-year-olds have only gotten, keep saying, gimme, gimme, gimme. But I'll say this, you know, as a positive end of this section, which is, you know, Americans, unlike Europeans, we do not have socialism in our DNA. And I think ultimately the voters will reject it.
All right, there's your final word. Thank you, Steve Moore and Gina Loudon. Yep.